I've only been lifting for 5 years now, and here's the brutal truth that not many influencers talk about when it comes to building muscle. You scroll through social media and you see these crazy transformations. People going from skinny or simply overweight to completely shredded and building an insane physique. And the impressive part, it only took them 3 months, maybe 6 months, okay, maybe even a year. It seems like it was effortless and it didn't take that long. And it's incredibly motivating until you realize most of those results are either genetic outliers, the 1% of the 1%, or steroid-enhanced physiques, whether they like to admit it or not. That's the part most influencers don't want to share, the stuff behind the curtain. If you're training naturally without performance-enhancing drugs, it's a totally different game. You need to understand that your body has limits. And while those limits can be pushed, it happens very slowly, like insanely slowly. I'm talking years. Here's what I wish someone told me before. If you're natural, your physique probably won't change dramatically in 1 or 2 years. You'll make progress, that's for sure, but not the kind of progress that you see on social media, as I mentioned before. Your expectations won't meet reality. I don't know if you noticed, but before I said I've only been lifting for 5 years. Because now I understand how long this journey actually is. The physiques I look up to, the natural ones, at least, are often built over a decade of training and of consistent effort, not just simply 6 months to a year. And that's the thing that separates you from achieving a good physique. Doing this fitness thing of lifting weights and eating properly. And if I'm being 100% honest, the first 2, maybe 3, even maybe 4 years of my lifting journey were almost a waste. Not because I wasn't showing up, but just because I wasn't training properly. I wasn't training hard enough. I just wasn't doing things right. Although I did think I was, which that's a mistake. Every year throughout my lifting journey, I realized that I wasn't training hard enough last year. And then the next year, the same thing happens. I just start to get more aware as I get older that I'm actually training like a little... You get what I mean. I see this all the time with people that I start coaching. Most of the people that join my coaching tend to not really train hard enough. And you might think your program is good until you realize what progressive overload, proper volume, and good recovery actually look like. I used to tell people actually that consistency is the most important factor when it comes to muscle growth. And I still believe that to a certain extent. But now I know that effort is just as important, maybe even slightly more. There's no way I would have built the physique I have now if I kept training the same way I did on my first year. Showing up is one step, but pushing yourself, learning proper technique, knowing how to structure your workouts, that's where real progress lives. I coached people who've been lifting for 2 or 3 years and they still didn't even know the fundamentals. Like, what is progressive overload? How many sets should I be doing per muscle group per week? And honestly, they didn't even know what training to failure looked like. And if it took me 5 years to look the way I do, and I'm searching for this knowledge, how long will it take for someone who isn't doing any of that, who isn't looking for this knowledge? The sad truth is, many people may never reach their goals. Not because they're lazy, but simply because they don't have the information. And they're being misled by these people on social media, creating unrealistic expectations. That's the reality of most people in the gym. They show up, they go through the motions, they copy a random influencer's workout, they leave, and then they wonder why they're not progressing. They're not lazy, they're just lost in a world full of noise. But let's say you do train hard and smart. That's still only half of the story. Because no matter how well you train, if your nutrition is not on point, you won't get the results you so desire. You need to eat according to your goal. Are you trying to gain muscle? Well, you should be in a slight calorie surplus. Like I said, slight. I do agree with the main gain approach as well. And if you want to lose weight or get shredded, then you should be in a calorie deficit. And in both situations, obviously you need to eat high levels of protein. Sadly, you can't just eat whatever you want, whenever you want. I used to think that if I trained hard, the food would take care of itself, but that didn't happen. Now here's a perspective that helps me with nutrition, and maybe it will help you too. I think of nutrition like poison. But wait, hear me out. You probably heard the expression that everything is poison in the right amount, even water, for example. So let's say pizza. One pizza is not really poison, is it? But if you eat 4 or 5 of them, that starts to be like poison, where the calorie intake will be massive. I don't consider any food to be good or bad, as long as the amount goes according to your goal, for example. If you're on a cut, does it make sense to eat a pizza? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. If you're in a complete dirty bulk, well, there you go. So again, with nutrition, I treat it like poison, where there's no good or bad. It all depends on the quantities. And I know what you're probably thinking, that for you to get results, fitness will have to take over your life. And I used to think that as well. But to be honest, after 4 years of lifting, I realized I was starting to not love this. I started to actually almost hate working out because I was just getting bored of it. I was always doing the same workouts, same meals, completely obsessed with this, and still not getting the results I actually wanted. And I needed something new, something that made me feel alive again. So I started running. And now I'm buying a bike, and I might even start training for a full Ironman. Lifting will always be part of my life, but I've learned that this doesn't have to be the only thing you do in life. If you can take away any message from this video, is I don't want fitness to take over your life. You don't have to eat chicken or broccoli to get in shape. You don't need to train like a bodybuilder or obsess over every single calorie. You shouldn't have to give up your social life, all in the hopes to get a bit more results. You can still go hiking, you can go out for a bike ride, you can go out for a run, and still get stronger in the gym and progress. Will it be the absolute most optimal way to grow? Of course not. But ask yourself, does it actually matter? Does it matter to you to have the best physique possible, all while losing, I don't know, time with friends, family, stopping activities that you enjoy like hiking, not going out for dinner with your friends or wife or whatever? To me, that's not worth it, and to most of you watching as well. And to be honest, you can still build a physique that is actually better than 99% of the people walking in this earth, just by lifting weights and eating a decent diet most of the times. You don't have to sacrifice everything just to get a bit more results. You just have to train with intent, eat with awareness, and stay consistent, and do this for years. That's what no one tells you, that this is a journey for years and years and years. So think about it like this. Don't focus on how will I build the best physique, but how will I make it so that I train for the rest of my life? With that being said, check out this video because YouTube thinks that you'll enjoy it, and I think the same. Right, see you in the next one.